Okay, so let's move on to the next portion, which is talking about our flathead. As far as the appearance, we did pass that around. Coloration of a flathead, they could be brown, they could be orange, they could be green, or they could be a combination of all of them modeled together. Their tail is going to be round versus that fork tail we had on the channel cat. We said our channel cats are going to be mainly 12 to 18 inches. You know, almost every trip has a 20-inch plus fish, and Pennsylvania has an angler award for a 24-inch fish. So an angler award, basically, take a photo, send it to the Fish Commission, fill out the form, and they'll send you a certificate. Sometimes they'll send a patch and a pin with it. An angler award for a flathead is 34 inches. So most of our flatheads are going to be anywhere from the 12 to 8 pound range. There will be some under 5 pounds, but if you go to my booth, you can check my records of what we caught. We didn't catch a whole bunch of them. But any given trip, you can catch a 20 or 30 pound flathead. So that's really exciting. So catching bigger fish, obviously I'm going to use bigger gear. So this is the Team Catfish 6'8" one-piece medium heavy action rod. I'm fishing 50-pound braided line. When I first teamed up with Team Catfish, they said, hey, you want to fish 65-pound braid for these flatheads? And so I tried it. The problem is out here where we fished, lots of ledges, lots of boulders, you get hung up a lot. We lose a lot of gear. And even though I'm a portly guy, 65-pound braid is hard to break. So I went to 50-pound braid. It handles anything I needed to do, and I can break it when I need to. The next device is called a sinker slide. So this sinker slide basically allows, you hook the sinker on there, it's on the bottom of the water, and it allows that bait to free move. It can pull out, or it can swim back. It's anchored, so the bait has a little more free movement versus being anchored in place. Most of your sinker slides are going to have a flared end. If you have a flared end, it will protect your knot. If you don't, go back to that little rubber disc, that sinker bumper that we passed around, and that'll protect that knot. Then I'm going to fish like a 12 to 15-inch leader, and this leader is Dacron. It's 80-pound Dacron. I like fluorocarbon. When you start getting 40-pound test or heavier, that fluorocarbon line, it's really hard to tie knots. This Dacron is very supple, and you can tie all kinds of knots with it very easily. So that's why I use that. And then on the guide trips, I'm fishing an 8-aught double action circle hook. We miss less fish with a circle hook. You can fish J's if you want. Actually, I like to fish them personally, but the circle hook gets us more fish. The thing is, for you bass fishermen, do not set the hook. It's hard to get used to, but you got to make sure you don't set the hook. If in fact you set the hook, and that hook is in the fish's mouth, and you set the hook, you pull it right out. Circle hooks are designed that as you put pressure on it, or as the fish swims away, puts pressure on it, that hook rotates and gets them in the side of the jaw or in the top of the mouth. You need a real sturdy hook like this double action hook because they have very, very strong jaws. Basically, I take that, I put the bait out, I put it in the rod holder. I had a couple gentlemen talk to me that, hey, we're missing a lot of fish, and we don't understand why. We're getting bites, we can't get a hook in them. So, how are you fishing them? Well, we're fishing, you know, an 8-aught circle hook. Okay, great. Are you setting the hook? No, we're reeling down. So, all right, that's good. I said, when you put it out there, just explain to me your procedure. Well, bait it up, we throw it out, put the clicker on, and then we set it in the rod holder. I said, okay. Next time out, do not put the clicker on, have it engaged, take a nap. When you hear the rod clanging, wake up and catch your fish. So the guy in today's seminar, he said, really? I said, I'm telling you, you're too anxious with this stuff. These fish you got to be patient with. You're seeing that bite and you're going on them too soon. Just do what I tell you. This past summer, I had a guy call me, he fished with me. They said, hey, we're trying to duplicate it. We're missing so many fish in the circle hook. I said, put it out there, lock it down, take a nap. he called me the next day. He said it was phenomenal. He said, we didn't miss a fish last night. So be patient with them. These flatheads are the most frustrating thing I guide for. They are so temperamental. They've done telemetry on them, and they found that they have been dormant up to 23 hours a day. They thought they were actually dead, and then they started moving out to feed. So you got to be patient with them. When I'm channel catfishing, put that bait out there 5 minutes. If I don't have a fish, I'll bring it in, freshen it up, put it out for 3 more minutes. If I don't have a bite, we're moving. Flatheads, I'm going to wait them out at least a half hour. So you got to be patient with them. If you are fishing a J-hook, which is fun, but again, it's easy to miss a fish. With a J-hook, I have the clicker on. Pretty exciting at night to be sitting there and hear that clicker on. You get real excited. Turn your headlamp on, find which one's moving, get up there, lift it out of the rod holder, engage it, and then slowly take up slack until you can feel that bite. And this will be going on. The problem with J-hooks is the client will say, now. I said, look, now. I don't have it in my hand. I can't tell you when to set the hook. I can tell you this. If he's on it, and you see a slow, steady bend, whack him. But you want to be looking because these flatheads will take that bait and they'll mouth it. We've had them mouth it for up to a half hour before we got a hook in it. And they'll take that bait, they might bring it upriver. They'll take that bait, they might go left, they might go right. So when you lift that rod out, you're going to set the hook on, make sure you're pointing it wherever that fish is. He's over here, you don't want to be over here. Find that line, get it taut. So what you're going to do is turn that reel 1 rotation at a time. If you don't feel pressure, rotate it. Keep doing that till you feel pressure. And then once it's taut, that's when you got to just figure it out and set the hook and go. And once you set the hook, these fish, as I mentioned, have very tough jaws. So when you set the hook, it's a motion of down and up. You're on that fish, I just tell them lock it into your hip. And it's doing this. When you're ready to go, you push and you pull. And you hit them hard and you hit them fast. And it's as hard as you can. It's a 2-step procedure. The next thing you got to do is you got to get right on that reel and you got to reel. Because they'll hit that bait and they'll run right up river. We've had them hit it and run up river, pull drag, and get in our anchor that's up river for the anchor. So hit them and get on them. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, he's there, oh, he's gone. And I'll yell, reel, reel, reel. And they'll get back on and say, oh, he's back. The fish never left. He hit that and he took off. They got back on him, got that pressure, and we landed the fish. So that's a couple things about how we handle them, how we set the hook, what to do. As far as time of the year for flatheads, we have such a great bass fishery here. I really don't fool with them until late May or June. And then I only fish them at night. So in the summertime, they're spread out, they're so finicky. I will not run a 4-hour trip. I'll run an 8-hour combo trip. And that's going to be a trip for channel cats and flatheads. It's going to be an 8-hour trip. Start late in the day. Go out there and try to get you 12 to 15 channel cats in the boat. Right before dark, set up and fish the flatheads. Fish them at night, fish them in the dark. Doesn't mean you can't catch them in the day, but it's law, diminishing return on your investment of time. So fish them at night, and as soon as it starts to get dark, I'm set up and we're ready to go. A couple things that will help you in the dark is a headlamp, a bright light so you can tie your knots or whatever. The thing is, if you have a white light, it's going to attract the bugs. So I like to have a light, either a black light or a green light or a red light, something like that. That way I can see what I'm doing and it's not going to attract the bugs. Another unique thing to have is these glow patches. So basically it's sticky, cut it to whatever size you want, put it on your pliers, put it on anything you want to find in the dark. Take your flashlight, activate it, doesn't take very long. Now you got something glowing on your pliers or whatever. Very handy, easy to use. I put glow sticks on my rods. These glow sticks are basically, you bust them open like you do the things you give to the kids on the 4th of July or whatever. That'll mount right on your rod tip. Pretty cool to see them things bouncing at night like that. Really enjoy being out there at night. So that's another handy thing you can use, works out very well. We talked about an angler award fish, 24 for channels, 34 for flats. These tape measures work great. They're kind of like a nylon, so if you get them wet, it doesn't matter. They don't rust on you. And put them in the water, clean them off of all that slime. Have them handy so you get those kids those angler awards. Same deal, I use the fish gripper, I use the D-hooker. When you're planning to fish at night, always try to take someone with you if you can. And whether you do or you don't, make sure that somebody knows where you're at and what time you're expected back. It's nothing for us to be coming off the water at 2 and 3 in the morning. So if you're supposed to be off the water at midnight and you're not home at 3 or 4, the family sends a search party out or whatever, or is calling you to find out where you are. We had a situation one night. We went out, we set up, headed down to set up in a hole. I got there, and there's a gentleman in that spot, and in a small boat, and he's by himself, and he's sitting there with his motor, and he's in the back, and his battery, his fuel can, whatever it was, he's sitting like this. The back of his boat didn't have much space between the water and the back of his boat. So I said to my clients, I'm not sure how he got into this spot, but I hope he gets out of here before dark. We ran upriver, we sat up on a spot, and we're fishing, and outside right rod goes off, guy hooks a fish, he's battling this fish, and it gets into something, whether it was a ledge, a tree, whatever, we can't get it out. So I said, well, we're going to sit here, we haven't been long, when they stop biting, we'll try to get him out there. So put in the rod holder, you got your clicker on. Shortly thereafter, I start to hear a faint noise. Now the outside left rod goes. So this guy's fighting a fish here, the noise is getting louder and louder. I get the spotlight, I shine over, here's that guy putting up the river, no lights on, no nothing, and we're sitting behind the ledge. Here's the boat. He comes up beside us, crosses over in front of us, he's still fighting a fish, and this ledge goes over, and then it tails off. The water's coming over that ledge. I'm assuming he got at that edge, and the water came over and got in the back of his boat. Because the next thing I hear is, I'm going down, I'm going down. So I grab the spotlight, I shine over, he's flopping around trying to find a life jacket, he turns his light on. I tell these guys, we gotta go. Pull that anchor up, you gotta land that fish now, reel all the rods in, so we're scrambling, we get him in, he lands this fish, this guy says, what am I gonna do with this rod with the fish on? Let it go, we gotta go. So it's screaming, the line's pulling up, we're heading down the river, we get down about 60 yards, I grab the guy to help him get up in the front of the boat, drop the anchor out and say, don't anybody move. So shine the light, you got 5 rods on the deck, you got a fish on the deck, you got 3 fishermen there, you got an anchor on the deck, just total chaos. And the guy says to me, hey, I think his fish is free, what do I do? I said, well, bring him in. So now I got 2 fish in the bottom of the boat, 6 rods in the boat, 3 fishermen, it's just total chaos. So we get this guy back to the ramp. That night the temperature gets into the 40s. He's shaking violently until we get him back. Where we picked him up at, he was about a mile, even if he made it to shore, he had about a mile walk in either direction to get to civilization. All by himself, lost his phone, so please be careful out there. We got him to the ramp, and we were heading down to getting ready to go back and resume our trip. And I looked at my clients and I said, you know, with the size of my boat, we don't have to wear life jackets to be legal, but I think we ought to put them on. Everybody's like, yeah, let's go on. So it kind of shook us up a little bit. Please, be careful out there in the nighttime. Make sure somebody knows where you're at. Are there any questions on flathead fishing?